Remember to hit record. For this class, you're going to need a block, a strap, and a wall. So if you don't have a wall, go get yourself a wall and set it up real quick. And pay attention to your own body and listen to your own body as much as your teachers today, and react appropriately. Let's start. Close your eyes. And bring your hands to the tops of your thighs with your palms facing up. And as you bring your awareness to your breath and root down through your sitting bones, lift up through the pit of your belly. Feel not only your body, but also the space that you are in. Space that you have created, a space that is your own. And a space that, since you're spending a lot of time there, I'm sure that you are refining, defining, and combining with in a way that maybe wasn't the same before. And inhaling, bring the middle finger of your right hand up to your heart center and feel yourself in your space. So that the atmosphere around you is part of the atmosphere within you. And in that way, extrapolate outward so that you feel perhaps a little bit less absent from everything, because you are a part of everything. And listen to these words from the Sunlit Path. You carry with you, around you, in you, the atmosphere created by your actions. If what you do is beautiful, good, and harmonious, your atmosphere is beautiful, good, and harmonious. So lower your right hand down to your right thigh. Inhaling, bring both hands to the side of your head with your fingertips together, your palms slightly cupped. Exhaling. Move your hands through your mind, gathering away any distractions, any thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future. Inhale and exhaling, draw your hands down into your body to bring yourself into this present moment, this present atmosphere in your own space, but with all of us in this virtual space. Inhaling, bring your hands up to the side of your head again. And as you exhale, bring all your thoughts together, concentrate them, harmonize them. Let them sing with one beautiful voice. Inhale and exhaling, draw that chorus down into your heart center. And continue this process. Bring your hands up. gather your good thoughts about your atmosphere. Inhale, and with a smile on your face, join your good thoughts with the light shining in your heart. And center the mental energy now one more time using your own breath pattern and your own self-talk. And with your hands at your heart center, let's harmonize. Even if we can only hear ourselves with 3 ohms. Exhaling, bow your head. And connect to your heart center. And inhaling, lift your chin. Slowly open your eyes. Release your hands. Sweep across your legs. And take your arms out to the side, up overhead. Interlace your fingers and stretch your palms up towards the ceiling. Draw your chin to your chest. Lift your belly and your sideways. Move your arms back in space to open the armpits. And raise your shoulder blades up towards your ears and wrap them around to the front of the body. Undo the interlace of your fingers and stretch the palms of your hands, heels of your hands, your arms out away from the spine. Bring them down to your side, lift up with your chin and twist to the right. Rooting through both sitting bones, find length in both side waists. And twist into that root and extension. Inhaling, come back to center and twist to the left. Now inhaling, come back to center and straighten both legs. Stretch your heels forward and spread your toes apart. Now contract your quadriceps 9 times, getting not only the middle of the thighs involved, but also the upper fibers of the quadriceps nearer the hips. And after 9 quad pumps, bring your feet together into Baddha Konasana. And as you press the soles of your feet together and pull up with your arms, lift the belly, lift the side waists. Draw your shoulder blades away from your ears. Broaden across the chest. Lift the upper body to help the thighs decompress from the hip socket. Bring your right hand, bring your left hand behind you and bring your right hand to the top of your right thigh. And externally rotate that right thigh in the hip socket and push outward to decompress the hip. And let's change sides. Take your right hand out back, your left hand to the top of your left thigh. Just spin it back in the socket and move it out. Bring both hands back to your feet and open your feet like a book. Maintaining that openness with your mind, bring both hands to the tops of your thighs near your knees. Spin out, push out. Lift up with your torso through your head. And then close your feet. Use your hands to close your knees. Since you've been open, we've done a pretty good bunch of thigh opening. Straighten your legs and contract your quadriceps 3 more times. And after 3 quad pumps, set your support aside, come onto your back with your strap and bend your right leg. Place the strap at the top of your right heel. Take your right leg up into Supta Padangusthasana. Draw both heels away from the body. You're up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. Away from your head with the left leg. Internally rotate your left leg. Move it down towards the floor. Contract your right quadricep from not only the middle, but also from the top. Stretch your heel up and away from it. Lift your belly. Draw your right hip forward. Bend your right knee. Lower the leg and take the left leg up. Especially with that left knee, use that movement up towards the ceiling to straighten that left leg as much as possible, creating the sensation of opening the back of the left knee. Contract your left quadricep and lift your belly. And draw your left hip towards your inner right heel. Bend your left knee. Lower your left leg. And bend both knees. Bring your feet to the ground. Roll over to your right side. Bring yourself up and around into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Press. We're team teaching today, and Letitia just remarked that she feels so little on my mats. So press your hands down into the ground, particularly with the inside of the hands, and draw your power from your palms up through your arms by lifting the arches of the palms into the tops of the arms, bringing them into joint. Spread your shoulder blades and bring your pelvis into an anterior tilt. And now look forward, walk forward. Bring your hands together and bend your knees. And lift up. And spread your arms out and bring your hands back to the heart center. All right. Well, let's just get to it. Let's do a couple rounds of Surya Namaskar. So come to the head of the mat, standing Tadasana. Or you're on your side, and it just really freaked me out. Just I was like, why is Laura just lying on the ground? Did she fall over? All right. Zoom room humor. Bring your hands to Namaste prayer position and exhaling. Look down into your heart center. Inhaling, lift your belly, stretch your hands up overhead, shift your hips forward. On your next exhalation, bend your knees and fold forward, come down to the ground in Uttanasana. Inhaling, look forward with a flat back. Exhaling, step your right leg back, bring your right knee down. And tuck your right foot under, sneak that right knee back in space any amount. Bring your right hip towards your inner left knee. Inhaling, look up. Exhaling, step back into Palakasana, plank pose. Move your heels away from your head away from your heels. Exhaling, bend your knees, lift your hips, and drop down into Ashtanga Namaskar with your chest and your chin. Inhaling, scoop forward into Sarpasana. Exhaling, keep your shoulders where they are as you look down into your heart. Press your pinky toes into the mat and lift your belly and lift up into Bhujangasana. Inhaling. Tuck your toes under and exhaling. Come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Draw your chin to your chest. Inhaling, look forward. Exhaling, step your right leg forward. Bring your left knee down. And tuck your left toes under. Sneak the left knees back in space any amount. Balance your hips. And move your pelvis forward and down as you lift your belly up and look up. Step your left leg forward. Bring your hands together. Bend your knees deeply and draw yourself back up through Ardha Chandrasana and your hands back down to your heart center. Inhaling, lift your hands back up. Exhaling, fold forward, Uttanasana. Taking a deep bend in the knees, keeping the back flat and long. Look at your belly. Inhaling, look forward, drawing your spine into the body. Exhaling, step your left leg back, bring your left knee down. And bring your hands up onto the top of your right thigh. Balance your hips by drawing your left hip forward and in towards the right knee. Lift the belly and look up. Exhaling, step back into Palakasana. Find your strength and your length as you inhale, and on your next exhalation, come into Ashtanga Namaskar. Inhaling, slide forward, Sarpasana. Exhaling, look down. Inhaling, lift up, Bhujangasana. Exhaling, from your inner groins, lift yourself up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhaling, look forward. Exhaling, step the left leg forward, bring the right knee down, and bring your hands up on top. Lift the belly, look up. Step your right leg forward. Bring your hands together. Bend your knees. Lift back up. Bring your hands back down to your heart. All right. So round two. Exhaling, look down. Inhaling, lift back up. Ashtanga Namaskar. Exhaling, bend the knees and fold forward. Let your sitting bones roll towards the ceiling as your chin comes towards your chest. Inhaling, keep those sitting bones rolling up towards the ceiling as you flatten your back and look forward. Exhaling, step the right leg back. Bring the right knee down. Tuck the toes under and sneak that right knee back in space any amount. And now bring your left hand on top of your left thigh. And imagine the roller coaster bar has come down onto the back of your hips so it cannot lift up any at all. And now tuck the right toe under and push the right heel back to attempt to straighten the right leg without lifting the hip any amount. And now bring that knee down and move back into Palakasana, plank. And on your next exhalation, come into the drop down. Bend your knees, lift your hips, and bring your chest and chin to the ground. Inhaling, slide forward, Sarpasana. Exhaling, look down. And press your pinky toes into the ground. Contract your glutes. Lift up, Bhujangasana. Tuck your toes under and exhale up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhaling, look forward. Exhaling, step your right leg forward. Bring your left knee down. Bring your hands on top of your right thigh. Lower the bar and keeping the hips where they are. Stretch your left heel back, attempting to straighten that left leg to really open up. And then bring the knee down, step forward. Bring your hands together, bend your knees deeply, lift up. And bring your hands back down to your heart. Inhaling, lift your hands back up over your head, Ardha Chandrasana. Lift the belly. Exhaling, bend the knees, Uttanasana. Roll the sitting bones up. Inhaling, look forward, lift the belly. Exhaling, step back, Vanarasana. Left leg. Bring your hands together and lift your arms up. Exhaling, step back, Palakasana. Inhale, and on your exhalation, Ashtanga Namaskar. Drop down. Yeah, there you go, Lexi, exactly. Inhaling, scoop forward. Exhaling, look down. Inhaling, Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Draw your kidneys towards your sternum. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana, lifting up from the inner groins. Inhaling, look forward. Exhaling, step your left leg forward. Bring your right knee down. Bring your hands together and lift up. Exhaling, step your rear leg forward. And bend your knees. Draw your arms up. Contract your quadriceps. Lift your belly up through Ardha Chandrasana. And bring your hands back to your heart center. Take a moment to center the mental energy 3 times, feeling yourself in your space, creating a positive atmosphere out of all of your good energy that you are drawing from the sun in Surya Namaskar.
All right, everybody, stand in Tadasana when you are finished so that I know we're ready to move on. All right. Hold on while I deal with my technology for a second. Okay, everybody, so now is when we're going to move to the wall and do a couple of poses at the wall. So our focus today physically is working on back bends. So that's part of why we did the Surya Namaskar the way we did, incorporating our 3 different versions of Vanarasana. We're going to open up those hip flexors a little bit more with the next 2 poses. You might want to actually take your mat with you to the wall because we are going to do a lunge at the wall and your knee is going to be on the ground. So if you know that you have sensitive knees and you want to be able to have some padding, go ahead and move your mat to your wall space right now. And Whitney, I would even suggest that for you. Yeah, let's go ahead and move the mat. And then you're going to need your block. So Whitney is going to show on the left leg because that's the better camera angle for you to see everything, but we're going to do this with our right leg first. So just watch. Whitney, go ahead, come on down into a low lunge with your left toes up the wall. And this block between the wall and your knee. And actually, let's turn the block the other way for you. Yeah. So basically you want the length of the block that allows your knee to be over your ankle. And then take your hands to the wall. You're gonna keep contact with this thigh bone into the block, but you're gonna allow this hip to lift up a little bit and back to lift the bottom of your belly while pressing this thigh bone into the block, into the wall. Okay, so let's move into that together. Whitney, go ahead and change sides. So come into this lunge variation with your right toes up the wall, your left knee on the ground. Yes, just get the kitty out of the way. She's trying to help. And then position your block so that your knee is over your ankle. So Laura, actually switch your block the other way. And then let your toes go up the wall. Laura Stevens, not Laura Hopkins or Laura D'Annunzio. All right, yes. Stevens, that looks lovely. All right, bring your hands to the wall, everyone. Press your right thigh bone strongly into the wall. Lift the bottom of your belly up. And then allow your left hip to actually move back away from the wall. So you actually are opening your hips up more, right? We're moving towards that open pelvis, not the closed pelvis. Press the right thigh bone into the block, into the wall. Strongly lift the bottom of your belly. Take one more breath. And then exhaling, change sides. So hold on to your block, step the right knee back, step the left foot forward, left toes up the wall. Lexi, I have a perfect view of you with this. All right, put the block between your knee and the wall. So the focus really is more on what that left thigh bone is doing. Press the left thigh bone into the block, into the wall. Point your right toes back. Lift the bottom of your belly up and keep that pressure of the knee on the block, on the wall, but allow your right hip to open up and move backwards. Deepen your breath. And then exhaling and release. And let's watch the second version. So Whitney, actually stay on that side with your left leg forward. Okay, so that first version, toes up the wall, sir. That first version, we were focusing more on the bent knee and pressing it into the wall. This version, we're going to focus more on moving the rear hip towards the wall. So we're going to start in a similar fashion, right? And Whitney's actually going to hold on to the block. Now you see how this hip bone is further back away from the wall than this hip bone. So he's going to move this hip bone forward so that both hip bones are equidistant. And you notice that this knee moves off the block a little bit. Yeah, there. Now the work is to keep this hip bone moving towards the wall and attempt to move the left thigh bone back to the block. Beautiful. All right, so let's do it on the right side. So right toes up the wall, block between your knee and the wall, and then sneak your left knee back in space as far as you can get it. Open up that stride. When you move that left knee back in space, notice how automatically the left hip bone starts to move away from the wall. The hips start to open up. So now hold on to the block with your hands. Yeah. And move your left hip bone towards the wall until the left and right hip bone are equidistant away from the wall and your right knee actually moves off the block. Yeah. Move your left hip bone so much that your right knee comes off the block. Now lift the bottom of your belly up. Do not let that left hip bone move away from the wall, but bring your right thigh bone back towards the block. It's okay if the right thigh bone never touches the block. Whew, and then come on out. You can thank Brad Waits for that feeling that you have in your left hip flexor right now. He's the one who taught me this style of lunge work. And let's change sides. Left toes up the wall. Move that right knee back in space as far as you can. Yeah, Lexi, that looks awesome. Eunice, take it easy, my friend. Don't go crazy with this. Okay. Hold the block with your hands. Move your right knee forward. Not right knee, pardon me, your right hip bone forward until your hip bone and your right hip bone and left hip bone are equidistant from the wall. Most likely your left knee will come off the block. If your left knee doesn't come off the block, you didn't take a long enough stride. And then keep that right hip bone moving towards the wall and endeavor to bring the left thigh bone back towards the block. Feel the way that you are rearranging your internal space here. This is a new normal for the hip flexor. Take one more breath and then come on out and then watch our next version of this work. Okay, so Whitney, go ahead and come to standing. So this is going to be the same work, although now the rear leg is going to be off the ground. So right toe, let's do left toes up the wall. Bend the knee. And then pick your right heel up and step your right leg back just as far as you feel like you can today. Yeah. Okay, for this version, we want the heel to stay off the ground the entire time. We are not trying to go into a full Vera 1 variation. Whitney, take both of your hands to the wall. Now, do you see how Whitney's pelvis is tilting forward slightly? So don't correct it yet, right? Bend, he's gonna bend the rear knee enough that it's easy for him to lift the pelvis upright. So lift the pelvis, that's it. Now, without losing this lift of the pelvis, he's gonna see how much he can straighten this leg. Awesome. So notice, it may not get completely straight. You're focusing more on creating that length in the psoas. Beautiful. And then we'll change sides. All right, nice work. So let's do the right leg first, everybody. Right toes up the wall. Right knee into the block, into the wall. Stride your left leg back as far as you can today. Keep your left heel off the ground. Okay, take your hands to the wall, everybody, just like fingertips on the wall. Just so you can engage your core even more. Bend your rear knee enough that you can bring your pelvic bowl completely upright. Now, without losing the lift of the pit of the abdomen, without losing that upright nature of your pelvis, begin to straighten the rear leg any amount. It doesn't matter if the rear leg gets straight. In fact, if it's easy for you to straighten it, you probably lost the lift of the pit of the abdomen. And then exhaling, come on out and change sides. Laura Stevens, I love how the cat is like, you know, your assistant, making sure that everything's happening correctly, right? She moves from side to side, just checking you out. All right, left toes up the wall, left knee against the block, against the wall. Bring just your fingertips to the wall. And then bend that right knee, the rear knee, to help you easily lift the pelvic bowl upright. Yes. Now, don't lose any of the lift of the pit of the abdomen and endeavor to straighten your right leg. Eunice, go easy on this side. Focus more on lifting the bottom of your belly, Eunice, than doing anything with your rear leg. And then come up and out, and just take a moment standing in Tadasana. Set your block down. Just stand in Tadasana and just notice how much easier it is for you to root down through your heels and to lift your frontal hip bones up. Notice how, CA, I can see the difference in you, right? Notice how much easier it is for your pelvic bowl to be upright. Eunice, that looks beautiful. Okay, move your mat back to its spot where it was in the middle of the room, and let's do Vira 1 full pose, building on that opening that you just were creating. So once you get your mat back in space, stand in Tadasana. Come on, kitty. Stand in Tadasana, facing the long edge of your mat. Yes, Miss Hopkins. Again, bring your weight into your heels, lift the bottom of your belly. CA, I really want you to remember what this feels like. This is a completely different position for you usually. All right, inhaling, bring the hands to jumping position. Exhaling, bend your knees. Inhaling, step or jump, 4.5 to 5 feet. Turn your palms up. Bring the arms up and the hands overhead. Turn your entire left leg in and your entire right leg out. Lift the bottom of your belly, just like you were doing with all of those variations at the wall. Keep that lift of your upper body, and then exhaling, allow your right knee to bend and flow forward. Lexi, bring your hands together to keep the diaphragm soft. Take one more breath, everybody. Claudia, looks good. Straighten the rear leg, everyone, as much as you can. And then inhaling, come up, turn back to the long edge of your mat, and then change directions. Turn your entire right leg in, your entire left leg out. Remember, if balance is an issue, you can take your feet further away from each other on the midline, so your railroad tracks get wider. And then keep that lift. And then Eunice, bring your hands together or onto your hip. Yeah. And then allow that front knee to bend even as you keep that lift of the bottom of the belly. Claudia, go a little bit longer with your stride on this side. Right there, right there, right there. Lift the bottom of your belly, everyone. And then inhaling, come up, turn back to neutral, step or jump the feet back together. And then again, just notice that greater openness that you have in your front body. So I don't know what everyone's daily habits have been like right now, but perhaps for many of you, you've been sitting more than usual. So all of this work combats all of that extra time spent sitting. And even if you haven't been sitting a lot, it doesn't mean that your pelvic bowl is upright, right? You can stand and still have too much of an anterior tilt to your pelvis. So everyone, I just want you to notice how you feel right now. And the longer you can get your front body, the more release and length you will have in your back body. Usually any back body pain is a result of front body tightness. All right, now Eunice, I just want to check in with you specifically. Does everything feel okay on the right leg? Awesome, good. Okay, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana, from back bends to forward bends. And you might notice that it's actually easier for you to lift your inner groins up and move them back to create more length in your side waists.
From this downward facing dog, lower your hips and bring yourself into tabletop position. And sit back on your heels. And then face the front of your mat with your feet in Baddha Konasana, not sitting on a support. And let's move into our twist for today, which is Matsyengasana. So everyone tuck your right leg back so that your right knee is pointing straight out the center of the front of the mat. And lift your right hip up towards your inner left knee. Lift up off of your left hip and draw your left hip towards your right knee, lengthening your left side waist. Walk your hands out around back. And keeping your arms straight, press down through your right knee, lift up through your side waist, and twist to the left. Make both of your side waists long. Lift the belly and twist. Make the front of your body longer than the back of your body, but keep the back of your body long. And twist. Inhaling, wind yourself back around. And change sides. Tuck your left leg back so that your left knee is facing forward. Lift your left hip up towards your inner right knee. Tuck your right hip under the pose and draw it towards your left knee. Walk your hands back around and twist to the right. Inhaling, lift both side waists. Press down through your left knee. And on your next inhalation, consolidating all that space that you have created, not letting yourself shorten any when you come out. Come back into Baddha Konasana. All right, so we are going to do that a couple more times. This particular time, let's do it the same way that we did it this time. But as you feel yourself twisting more deeply with your spine, walk your hands into the mat any amount more so that you can, what was Letitia talking about? The new normal. You can make a new normal for your Matsyengasana. So tuck your right leg back and point your right knee forward. Lift your right hip up and tuck your left hip under, making sure to draw it away from the head. And now walk your hands back and around. Lift your belly, lift your side waists, and twist into that space. And after you twist, spider your fingers in on your mat, any amount. Push down with your hands and twist. If you find a little bit more ground is gained in the twist, wiggle your fingers into the mat any amount more. And inhaling, wind back around, taking care not to collapse your spine any, and change sides. Lift your left hip up, tuck your right hip under, bring your hands around to the back, and walk around. Make a great length from your left knee all the way up through the crown of your head. And equate that length on the, what is that? Is that your right side? Yeah, your right side as well. Now twist into that great length that you've manufactured in your atmosphere that you're creating, and walk your hands in any amount more. And inhaling, bring yourself out and around. And just watch for a second while we move into the third version of the pose. All right, so Letitia, yeah, sounds good. So we start this pose in the same way that we have been, tucking your right leg back and coming around. But the difference between this version is that she takes her hands out much wider so that she can bend her elbows to ideally a 90-degree angle. And then once she comes down into the pose, she pushes down with this hand to lift this shoulder blade up. That's right, balancing across the shoulder blades. And I'll be watching you guys because it can get tricky to know which hand to press down in this pose, but you want to think about the shoulder blades being equal across. And you're also looking over at this hand. All right, so let's try it. Tuck your right leg back. And walk your hands around to the left. Still doing the same hip tucks and everything. And once you get your hands around to the back in your new normal position, separate your hands widely away from each other so that you can bend both elbows to a 90-degree angle. So Hopkins, maybe take the right hand a little bit farther away from the body. And bend that elbow any amount more. And now Press down with your left hand to lift the left shoulder blade up. Look over at your left hand. And now lift yourself up and out of the pose. Feels amazing up into the thoracic spine is the reports I'm getting from the back of the room. All right, so tuck your left leg back, left knee forward. Walk your hands around to the right, tuck your hips. And as you twist around to the right, separate your hands to the point where you can bend your elbows to 90 degrees. And press down with the right arm to lift the right shoulder blade up. Some more right shoulder blade, Linda Costello. Yeah, there you go, Linda. Nicely done. Look over at your right hand. And inhaling, come on up and out. Let's go into our first back bend of the day, which is Ustrasana, camel pose. So everyone come up on to your knees. If you need to pad your knees, place a blanket or double up your mat so that your knees are comfortable. And we're going to do, as we usually do, back bends 3 times. We're going to do Ustrasana 3 times. We're going to do 2 different hand placements to start. And then for the 3rd time, you're going to pick your favorite. So for here in our camel back bend, we're going to start with our hands touching the PSIS, the posterior superior iliac spine. Right here at the top of your hip bones, you can see where Letitia is doing that with your hands fanning out to the side. Now, lift up with the pit of your belly and without moving your hips back any at all, back bend from above the sacrum up through the spine. Draw your head back. And then contract your glutes to lift yourself up and out. Feel the effects of the pose. All right, for the next version of this, you're going to bring your hands down to your side with your fingers pointing down, the inner hands feeling the triangle of the sacrum. Now lift up through the pit of the belly. Draw the spine into the body and back bend. Imagine every single one of your vertebrae pushing forward through the body, moving away from one another, opening the front ribs, and contract your glutes to lift yourself up and out of the pose. All right. And so you've tried both variations of your hand placement now. And let's do it a 3rd time, picking your own favorite variation, or if you are well practiced in this and know what you are doing, you may choose to take your hands down to your heels. All right, so pick your favorite position. Lift the belly and keep the belly lifting and bend from the back without moving the thighs back at all. Continue to draw the spine into the body. Draw the heart towards the ceiling. Open the ribs. Keep lifting the belly. Move the spine vertebra by vertebra away from its neighbor. Contract your glutes. And lift yourself up and out of the pose. Then come onto your belly with your hands at your side. And separate your feet hips width apart. And bring your awareness to your feet and unsickle your feet so that your big toes are pointing in the same direction straight out of your leg as the inside of your leg, instead of pointing towards one another, away from the head. And bring your pinky toes to the mat. Contract your glutes, move your sacrum away from your head. Lift your belly up. Push down and lift up into Bhujangasana. Draw your kidneys towards your sternum as you draw your shoulder blades away from your ears and look up. And exhaling, come back down. Reset your legs. Contract your glutes, lift your belly, and press back up into your Bhujangasana again, continuing to move every vertebra away from its neighbor, all the way up through your thoracic vertebra, up through your neck. Look up, draw your ribs forward, and exhaling, come back down. Let's do that one more time. Set the legs, contract the glutes, lift the belly, and press up into your cobra pose, moving the spine into the body, drawing the heart forward, drawing the shoulders away from the ears, moving the kidneys up towards the sternum, back down towards the kidneys, and move your hands back in space to move your spine forward any amount. Create traction and fold forward and come back down. You carry with you, around you, in you, the atmosphere created by your actions. And if what you do is beautiful, good, and harmonious, your atmosphere is beautiful, good, and harmonious.
All right, everybody, roll over onto your back with your knees bent and your feet on the ground. How's everybody's low back feeling? You can give me a thumbs up. Everybody okay? Yeah, okay, beautiful. I've been really enjoying this class, and I love getting to team teach with Whitney. So our Friday noon class and our Saturday morning class, we always team teach those classes. Linda, is your back getting you a little bit? Just a little bit? That's okay. A comme ci, comme ça? Okay. All right. With your knees bent and your feet on the ground, let your heels be in line with your sitting bones. And then lift your hips up 6 to 8 inches. Interlace your hands underneath your hips with straight arms. If this is not accessible, simply hold on to the long edge of your mat. And then roll onto one shoulder and tuck the other arm underneath you. Roll onto the other side, tuck the other arm underneath you. Press down through your heels, press down through your triceps, and lift the sacrum up towards the front of your pelvis. Lift the bottom of your belly towards your sternum. Move your thigh bones towards your knees. Allow your armpits to open up more and the sternum to move more towards your chin. Jill, bring your feet back towards your hips just a little bit. And see if that gives you a little bit more leverage. Ah, yeah. Lexi, same for you. Bring your feet back towards your hips just a smidge and then push down and lift. Beautiful. One more breath, everybody. And then exhaling, float down halfway, untuck your arms, float down the rest of the way, locate your block, and let's go into a supported version of Setu Bandha. Those of you who have the ability to practice a shoulder stand at home, you have the appropriate props, and you know how to do this, you already do it at home, you can go ahead and go into a shoulder stand if you would like. Otherwise, lift the hips up and place the block underneath your sacrum at whatever height you prefer today. Right? New York, Chicago, or LA. If you would like to make this pose more like shoulder stand, you may lift your legs up, but keep the groins deep. Press your triceps into the ground. Move your armpit chest towards your ears. Those of you in full shoulder stand, remember, keep your head steady. Jill, use your legs just a little bit more. Ah, there. Suzanne and Beth, it looks awesome. Everything you're doing looks so good. More Zoom room humor. Okay, those of you that are in shoulder stand, if you would like a little bit more time there, please feel free to stay. Those of you in supported Setu Bandha who have had your legs up, bring your legs down. And then begin the triple lift of your hips to bring yourself up and out. And then our final pose before Shavasana is Supta Padangusthasana. So locate your strap. Jill and Lexi, take your time. Take your time. And you're going to do this at your own pace. You're going to do 3 rounds of Supta Padangusthasana, but holding for just 2 breaths. When you're doing Supta Padangusthasana after backbends, the intention is not so much to lengthen the hamstrings as it is to release the low back. So your leg doesn't have to be as high as it maybe usually is. Just hold it for 3 breaths, right? 2 breaths, 3 times on each side. And as you move through these 3 rounds, holding for 2 breaths, let this have the feeling of refining, organizing, inhabiting your body completely. And when you have finished your 3 rounds for 2 breaths on each side, and slowly set yourself up for Shavasana. Once you're ready for Shavasana, dim the lights. Maybe put a sweater or socks back on, depending on the temperature of where you are. Perhaps cover yourself up with a blanket. Begin to allow yourself to become settled. Make sure that your legs are a little bit away from each other. That your arms are a little bit away from your torso. You carry with you, around you, in you, the atmosphere created by your actions. And if what you do is beautiful, good, and harmonious, your atmosphere is beautiful, good, and harmonious. Everything we do in asana has as its root purpose the expansion of our consciousness in our physical form. So every movement of the body is an opportunity for the mind to experiment more with being embodied. So now, as you lie here in Shavasana, let your consciousness move more deeply into your body. Spreading out through your body, filling your body with more light, more love.
Deepen your breath. Focus more on your inhalations. The feeling of the lungs expanding and contracting. Be the feeling of awakening in the body. Feel all the new space you've created within you, full of your light and the feeling of love. And then bend your right knee and place your right foot on the ground. Do the same with your left. And then exhaling, roll over to your right. And then inhaling, bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Sit comfortably with your hands at your heart. And let's mark the end of our time together by chanting 3 ohms. So inhale to join. Exhaling, bow your head with gratitude. Gratitude for this opportunity to be with your body, in your space, and with a community of like-minded folks, each doing their own work. Inhaling, lift your head. Gently open your eyes. Release your hands. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, I'm going to unmute.